I would say Section 60 is an ineffective power, primarily because it's got a low success rate like most stop and search powers do. It's a power that allows for indiscriminate and racist policing. It's something that we've seen in Bristol, and I know obviously in places or in cities like London, police often will blanket an entire community basically with that power. It allows for quite clear racist targeting, in particular of young black men and the people of colour as well. It really is a power the police shouldn't be able to use with no kind of scrutiny and no safeguarding. When the young man was unfortunately killed near Stapleton Road, there was, I think it was around a 48-hour Section 60 authorisation, and I feel that in itself was ineffective because it didn't catch, anybody with weapons. It didn't remove weapons off the streets. What it did do was stop particularly young black men, because again there is this assumption from the police and their strategy and their attitude towards racialised communities that people like ourselves are more inclined to lean towards serious violence, drug dealing, that kind of thing. And it's very much a racist narrative and a racist strategy of the police as a whole. To say Section 60 is only a power that impacts, working class people of colour would be wrong of me, because it impacts everybody. But I would suggest that the police, in their nature, the way they perceive crime and the way they see serious violence and crime in general, they are more inclined to use that power against black people and people of colour. And the police say they engage with community leaders about the power. They're sitting down in the room with leaders of the community, not having wider community meetings. They're saying what they're going to do, rather than actually engaging in saying what's the best way to ensure, we do what we need to do without damaging relationships, without traumatising people.
I was at many meetings when sometimes Section 60 was brought up, but even as an attendee, I don't know what that means until I went home and Googled it. They didn't explain, we're putting Section 60 in place and this is what it means, this is what it entails, this is the effects, this is the cause, this is what it should do. So as an adult going to a meeting, it wasn't made clear to me. You're just listening. They're not asking us, do we want it? They're telling us this is what's happening, but they're not telling us what it means. I don't think the information was shared enough. I think there's many platforms where they could have shared that they was putting that power in place. One starting with schools, because especially it was affecting a lot of young people. So local schools in the area, they could have put something out in the newsletter, they could have let the headmaster know to share with parents, and then they could have had that conversation with the young people. What is Section 60? What does it mean? And what happens if I'm in a scenario where I get asked to be stopped and searched? Because we're out there as community leaders to try and tell our young people the rights, and we're not even told that things are put in place, so we don't know to tell them that their rights have changed until it's actually happening. That's what's quite sad. If you offer it at a time when somebody's been killed, we're going to say yes to anything, but you're not giving it with the right insight, because obviously none of us want, as a parent, as a community worker, I don't want to see any child carry a weapon, and anything I could do in my power to stop it, I would try.
The Section 60 campaign in Easton in early 2024 targeted several young people who were on their way from schools. One young person who had recently been the victim of knife crime and was a victim of a stop and search, a suspicionless stop and search, was particularly impacted. He reported it made him feel unsafe because he already felt unsafe in the community and was attempting to establish a new relationship with his safety and navigation in the community. But the police, who were at least ideologically a protective factor, became a potential threatening factor, and it made him feel like he would be less likely or less able to rely on the police or use them as a resource in the future. And if we think about what we're aiming to achieve with regards to working with young people, giving them a place in society and helping them to overcome the challenges they face, criminalizing them actually sets them back and contributes, in my opinion, towards increased pressures towards gangs and youth violence rather than decreasing them. When young people don't view the police as an ally in the community, it creates an adversarial relationship that affects every aspect of your navigation in the community. It affects your understanding for your place in society, and it makes you feel like certain areas and certain aspects of society are for you and certain aspects and areas are not for you. This disenfranchising of young people contributes towards sometimes their lack of hope, which means that they end up seeking negative activities rather than positive activities to forge their identity. What I want to see absolutely less of is suspicionless stop and searches. I definitely feel like stop and search is not applied in a legal manner at all times. I've worked with several young people whose initial stop and search was deemed to be illegal at a later date. And I think the misapplication of police powers, specifically towards already traumatized communities, contribute towards an ongoing rift and distance between the police services and members of the community they're here to serve. The relationship with the community is paramount to any effective policing in the community. It impacts people's lives, it impacts people's safety and their feeling of being in a community, and it impacts police investigations when incidents happen in the community. This distrust has real and lasting impacts.
Luckily, I go to a lot of meetings to be in the known. There's many people in the community who don't have that opportunity to get to these meetings, so they're not in the know. And then it's for people like myself and other people who go to the meetings to share. And what I would like to happen is just transparency. Who's going to be stopped and searched? Who are they going to target and stop and search? And is it the people that they say is going to stop the killings? Is it? A lot of the time it's not.
If police want to improve their practice in communities, the standard expectation of how they communicate has to be changed. There are so many young people whose main gripe is the police communicate with them in provocative and antagonistic ways, even when they haven't been accused of doing anything wrong. This is how long-lasting relationships are kept adversarial and is absolutely no way to repair. Essentially, I think it's as simple that to repair the relationship between the police and the community, the police have to humanize the young people that they are sometimes serving and sometimes investigating and questioning. I think that it's not just down to the police to help give young people a place in society. It's each and every one of us as a citizen and member of this community. And what that actually looks like is not being scared of young people when you see them, understanding that the differences they have in their presentation and culture are not a threat to us. Just because a young man wears a balaclava does not mean a hello, how are you doing won't mean a lot to him and his life.